Greetings,
Bobbleheads.
greetings, everyone. This is I'm Right,
I'm right.
and I'm Jill Cox Cordova.
I'm Anthony Cordova. If you didn't know it,
Everybody
That's right.
knows it.
everybody doesn't know it.
Everybody knows it.
Hey, hi, Dave.
Hi,
I am
Dave.
Dave. There's I am Dave. He's there. He's there. I am Dave.
And hi, Sam, if you're there too.
Yes.
Hope you all are doing well.
Yeah, I hope you're doing well. I did go to your show last week on YouTube. I was there not the entire time, but for about 30 minutes. So, good show.
As
Cool.
always.
And don't know if I'm going to make it tonight, though. So,
Yeah, we're both dragging today.
we're kind of whipped.
Yeah.
So, Jill, what's happening? I mean, what in the world is going on? Why did you choose this episode, this title for this episode?
I didn't.
It was me, huh?
You already forgot.
It was me.
It was you. But
Guilty.
it's something that we have talked about many times, and that's when do you know when to move?
And that is a really good question. Because since we've been together, we have not moved. You moved.
I moved.
You moved here.
I
with
moved
me.
5 minutes away from. Ooh, what's that
I don't
noise?
know what that is. I don't know. Don't know where it came from. Yeah, maybe move that. I don't know. But anyway,
Yes,
yeah,
I
so
moved 5 minutes from my house into your house.
yeah, and actually, most people don't like to move. But some
I've moved a
people,
lot though.
well, that's what I was going to get at. Some people have moved much more than others.
How
My
many times
s-
have you moved? And
not
then I'll tell you
many.
how many. I've moved a lot.
Not many. Well, I was born in Long Island, and the
I
house
was born by the river.
river.
Like, what's the song?
So, yeah. So I was born in New York, and basically from the time I was 1 year old to 20, almost 22 years old, I lived in the same house.
Oh,
When I was probably 21, I moved down the street.
okay.
I moved down the street. My parents still lived in the house I grew up in, but I moved down the street and rented a room out, actually a basement. And then after that, at 22, I moved to Atlanta. Um, and I lived in an apartment. And then my brother and I decided to live together, so we moved
The
to
brother,
another
which
apartment.
brother?
Ronaldo,
Oh, I was going
the
to say,
brother in
really?
Texas. No, not that brother. No.
Okay.
But we moved
Your
to
older brother.
our own apartment because I was actually renting a room from another friend. But we got our own apartment, which was in the same apartment complex. And then he moved away. He moved to Texas, and I didn't want to move to Texas, so I stayed in Atlanta. Um, Met a nice lady, got married, and moved to
Which wasn't
another
me.
apartment. Yeah, it wasn't you.
It wasn't me.
And moved
It
to
wasn't me.
another apartment, and then some people tried to burn down the apartment.
The building?
Yes. I was
They
actually.
tried to burn down the building.
Yes, they some kids got into there was a vacant apartment below us, and they got into the apartment, ripped the curtains off the walls, and put them in a closet and set them on fire. Um, I was the one that found it. I
Wow.
was the one to put it out.
Wow.
And that really made me angry. Because the apartment complex turned off all of the water spigots because they didn't want anybody washing their car. So I couldn't even get water. So I found a bucket, and I was, running from my apartment, filling the bucket up, going down there, running through the smoke and all of that to
Wow.
put out the fire. Um, And from that moment on, I said, "That's it. I'm done with
That's
apartments."
it.
Yeah. And probably a month and a half later, bought a house. I said, "Mom, I don't like apartment life.
Mm.
Just don't do it." And I was what, 24 years old, I think. 20, 23, or 24 years old. And I bought my first house. Stayed there for a while until the divorce. And so we stayed there maybe 7 or 8 years, got divorced, um, settled on the house. I still lived there. My ex-wife got another house in the next town over. And then I met somebody else. I moved to Memphis, Tennessee.
Which you did not like.
Who did not like Memphis, Tennessee. Stayed there maybe a year and a half and came back to Atlanta and bought the house I'm in now and been here ever since. So I've been here in this house since 1998.
Wow.
So, but that's all the moves I've
Well,
had in my
you've
lifetime.
moved
So
quite a bit, but
that's not a lot,
but I've
actually.
moved a lot more
Yeah, I'm
because
sure.
I was, well, everybody knows I'm from Kentucky. But my first 5 years of my life, um, my mother and I lived with my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was 5, we moved an hour away to a national park.
Yay!
And
National Park.
we
Play
moved.
with the deer.
I did not play with the
You
deer.
didn't play
I
with the
didn't play with
deer.
any wildlife, but I liked the deer. I liked watching them.
Okay.
And then, because they were used to humans, so they would come near us a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So when we first moved, we moved into a single wide trailer. And then when I was in 6th grade, we moved to the biggest double wide with a porch on just down the street.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yep.
when I was in high school, we moved, or my freshman year, the summer of my freshman year, we moved to a different part of the park. So it was actual house
Okay.
with a sunroom and everything, which was really nice. I like living in that part of the
Okay.
park. I like that house. And then does college count if you go away for college of moving?
Probably, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
then I went to St. Paul, Minnesota
Mm-hmm.
for 4 years. Then I went to Northwestern. So through Northwestern, I was in Evanston, Illinois, Chicago, and then DC. We had to
Wow.
spend a quarter in DC, but I actually lived in Alexandria, Virginia.
Yes.
And then 3 weeks after I graduated, or when I graduated, I came home to
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Okay.
And 3 weeks later, I moved to Lexington for my first job. And 10 months later, I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Charlotte, first time.
First time.
First time, Charlotte. Yeah.
Stayed there for 2 years, moved to Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Stayed there for 4 months, moved to Atlanta for the first time.
Okay.
Stayed there for 10 months. I had this thing about 10 months, I
10
guess.
months. 10 months and out.
10 months, I went back to Charlotte because of a better job. That's when I
Mhm.
started working for TV networks. I started working
Okay.
for NBC, and they had a bureau, so to speak,
Mhm.
in Charlotte. Stayed there for 9 months
Okay.
and went and worked in New Jersey at MSNBC because it was in New Jersey at the time instead of 30 Rock, where it
Okay.
is now.
Yeah.
And then I moved back to Atlanta to
Okay.
work at the Weather Channel. I lived in Smyrna.
Mm-hmm.
And I also started a part-time job teaching at Kennesaw State. And I didn't like the commute to Kennesaw State.
Okay.
So I moved to Kennesaw from Smyrna.
No, I thought you moved to Ackworth.
Oh, I moved to Ackworth. That's right. That's where I was living when we met. I moved to Ackworth, which is the next town over. And then when we got married, I moved in with
to
you.
Kennesaw, yes, yes, which is a few miles.
So, and while I was in college, I lived for 6 months in Europe.
Cool,
3 months
cool,
in
cool.
Italy and 3 months in England.
So see, for me, in comparison to you, I've moved very little. But now there's other people um, that like move a lot. Well, people in the military move a lot. Um, there's other people, people are, especially younger people, tend to move a lot. This
Yes.
apartment, that
And for
apartment,
me, the
this
reason I
apartment.
moved so much, it wasn't that I liked to move. It was that if I moved, I could move up in my industry.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
I
For
moved
job,
around to move up.
yes, for a job. But
Yes.
now, I'm older, and
You
people.
are?
Yeah, I'm old. I'm older. At a certain age, we kind of want to stay put.
Yes, because even
Just.
though, like, especially the higher I rose in my industry,
Hmm.
the easier the move was because they would pay for everything,
Yeah,
and because I had done it so
done it so many
much,
times.
in fact, when I moved from New Jersey back to Georgia, I was actually in DC planning the move
Hmm.
because they sent me there for 6 weeks.
Right.
But because I had moved so much, I could easily set that up, no problem.
Yeah. Cool. Well, moving. I'm at the point now, or we are, where moving just to be moving,
Mm.
like just to move to, oh, we found a house, it's really nice, and it's the same price as our house, so we could sell this house, move into that house, and it's just a nice house.
Well,
I don't
we
want to move just for that. I don't.
no,
I
but
don't.
we have
I don't
talked about, well, we're both water people, so we have talked about moving to where we have
water.
views,
Or
views of the water.
views of the water, either a lake
So,
or the ocean.
yes.
But
One time we were really
close.
serious about that
Yeah.
until I figured out that they wanted me to start over in a career I'd been in for a while, and I wasn't
Yeah,
willing
yeah,
to do
yeah.
that
So yeah, and the pay for that job wasn't going to be
because they wanted
good.
me to start over like an entry level person, and I
Yeah,
wasn't willing to do
yeah.
that.
Now I could have gotten a job there, but I didn't want us to be
Struggling.
strapped. Yeah,
Yeah.
like just working so
Yeah.
hard just to keep the house. Where now don't have to work that well. Anyway, the financial situation, because the house is paid for now, is good, so we don't have to worry about a mortgage, and I don't want to get into worrying about a mortgage.
Yes. Agreed.
So yeah, we're gonna stay um put for a while unless our money situation like quadruples.
Yes. And then we're like, gone.
Then we're out. And it's funny, it's only two of us. And you know how they say when you get older, people like to downsize. Downsize. Now, this house is not a mansion. It is not a mansion, but it is a nice size. And we like the size.
Yes. I need my
And
space.
yeah, so it's a old home. Well, not old like built in the 1800s, but it was built in 1981, I believe. So it has an old section room. So we have formal living room, a den, big eating kitchen. There's a lot of room in the kitchen for the most part. And then, garage, two-car garage, uh, basement also, and about two decks, small decks, but two decks, and a decent sized yard. So we have about a acre and a half or acre and three quarters or something, and a lot of trees. So it's nice, and we don't want to downsize because at least now. I can be in the basement doing stuff, and I'm out of your hair as long as I don't play the drums. You could
You can
be
play
in.
the drums as long as I'm not writing. That's the only time it
Um,
bothers me.
but yeah, it's enough room for us, and I can't imagine.
And we actually have a third person in the house.
Yes, yes, and your mother is here with us too, so she has her own, and it's a four bedroom house, 3 baths, but all the bathrooms are the size of closets because it's an older house. They didn't build those big bathrooms like now. But oh yeah, 4 bedrooms. So one of the bedrooms is our office and studio and all of that
2 studios.
in
No,
that room.
it's 3 studios.
In that room, yes.
It's 3 studios.
So that's good for us. Now I can't imagine if we had to downsize to a 2 bedroom house. That would be difficult. Now, I see that Chris Rossetti is here. Now, Chris Rossetti is the king. He is the king of living in small spaces.
And Chris is on the stage. Hi, Chris.
Mother-in-law. Oh, yeah. Mother-in-law. Oh, yeah. Remember that?
Yeah, she's gonna like that you said
Yes, she
mother-in-law.
is. She's going to like that a lot.
You know, I have.
And her name. Hey, Chris, will you do something for me?
Sure.
My mother-in-law's name is Phyllis. Can you say hi, Phyllis? Because she listens to the show.
Phyllis, we're so glad you're listening to the show one day today. And we just want to say something very special for you on a very special day to a very special lady, Phyllis. And here it is. Hey, lady!
That's pretty good,
She's
Chris.
going to love that.
But Chris, that you're on the stage, and like I said, you are the king. You and your wife, your family, your kids are the kings and queens of living in small spaces. So tell me, how do you do that?
I get on social media and I tell my wife I'm working. Right, honey? Yeah. I have a code I live by. My wife is always right. Right, honey?
Yeah, right.
Right. Well, my sister lived in a studio apartment one time, and it was essentially one room with a bathroom. Okay. And I've never spent the night at her house, but I at her apartment, but I went there and, hung out with her and stuff like that. But I could see for one person, it's tight. So really, how do you do it? There's you, your wife, and I believe one of your daughters is there with you also.
Well, when we
What
had the
type of
four,
arrangement do you have about staying out of each other's way?
oh well, there's a lot of pardon me. There were four of us, and we're in 420 square feet now, one bedroom.
That's amazing.
But there were the four of us at one time, but it was when they were children. We were in about a 250 square foot studio apartment.
Wow.
With a tiny bedroom. I mean, a tiny bathroom and a tiny kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And as my son got older, we put him in the closet. We said, "That's your room. Get in there."
That's it.
And the closet was not a walk-in. It was a normal, maybe a standard size closet.
Mm-hmm.
But he enjoyed it. We put the mattress wouldn't fit, so we had to put it halfway up the wall and halfway on the floor. We found him a TV on a little tiny tray, and I don't know. You make do.
Mhm.
So did he sleep sitting up, or did he sleep like
Like-
curled up?
No, he'd curl in there, like a little cub in a den.
Okay.
At one time, though, it was kind of funny because didn't we have a hide-a-bed, honey?
No,
We didn't have a hide-a-bed?
no.
Anyway,
The bed couldn't hide in 200 square feet.
the bed couldn't hide. All I know is for a while there, we would lay down to go to sleep at night, my wife and I, and then my son would be on the floor next to us, and my daughter would be in the playpen behind us, and we could all reach out and just join hands in prayer, It was
That's
close
cool.
quarters. But what you learn when you live in close spaces is you learn how to get along. Either that or get along or get gone. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
am I right, honey?
Yep.
Yep. She's just agreeing, so I'll shut up.
No, that's
I'm loving hearing her tonight.
yeah. She's chatty tonight. All right.
Yeah, and she's all the way over on the other side of the apartment.
So I can live in a small space if I have to.
Well,
When
you lived in a truck.
Yeah, I lived in a truck. Just stayed on the road for many years. And it's not a problem, by myself. But when I was being trained, my brother trained me how to drive, and we both stayed in one truck that only had one bed in it, and he kept most of his paperwork on the bed. So if he was driving, I'd curl up in between the paperwork and go to sleep. But when it was time for both of us to sleep, we actually got into the trailer and found a spot like in between all the freight to sleep.
But what
So
happened when you couldn't break the seal, or did you just go ahead and break it?
yeah, we didn't have seals because we hauled special products and made many stops. So there was no seal on the trailer, so we can get in the trailer when we want. And the way you secure yourself in, we would take a strap, and we had logistic rails. So we take a strap tied to the outside of the door and pull the door shut, but not latched. And then no one can pull the door open because we have it pulled shut from the inside.
Hmm.
But yeah, I can stay in a small spot. But when you have someone else in it, because for a while, I had co-drivers. I had a contract where I had to have co-drivers, and it's rough. It's rough to live in small quarters like that with someone that's not a family member. Not easy at all.
Yeah, it's
And
difficult, but you have to learn to get along and get along quick, And thankfully, we don't argue. We can have disagreements, but we don't argue, and we've never fought. Have we ever fought in 36 years? No, we've never fought. Like what?
Ah.
You should tell me when we're fighting, so I know what.
So you were fighting, and your wife was laughing.
Oh, brother.
That's like and I think I see, is that Donnie in
Yeah.
the audience?
Yes.
Hi, Donnie.
Hi,
Welcome,
Donnie.
welcome, welcome. Jill and I don't fight either. She got really, really mad at me one time,
And I said, "That's it,"
and I started laughing.
which
I
was not kind of him to do, which made me madder.
because I've never seen her that angry. She was really like storming off and angry, and I was like, "Well, that's the extent of the anger." Wow, I was really surprised. I thought it was amusing, but that made things worse.
Sure did.
Yeah, my wife doesn't get mad and fight. We get
She
angry or
gets
we get
even.
whatever. No, she prays. She goes and tells God to get me, and that's worse.
Oh man, don't do that, Jill. Don't if you get mad at
Who
me.
says I don't?
don't do that.
What
Don't
makes
do
you
that.
think I don't?
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I just don't say it out
Well,
loud.
Lord, I can't handle him anymore, Lord. Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. She said God's on her side.
yeah. But my issue with some people may say we have more house than we need. But the thing is, I grew up in a very small house. It was a 1,200 square foot house, 1,200 in living space, but we had a basement and an attic also. So my bedroom was in the attic. I mean, like a real attic. um, and so there was 4 or 5 of us in the house: mother, father, brother, sister, and me. And I never liked living in a small house. So so when I got older, if I was gonna buy a house, I always bought a house that was had more space than what I actually needed.
I guess
So
I did too, because when I
yeah,
bought my house, I had
yeah, more
I had
space.
quite a bit of house,
Yeah,
and it was just me.
yeah, that's right. So do you have any advice for us, Chris? Because we could be living on the beach now if we were willing to go down to a 2 bedroom ranch style house. So, what advice do you have for us?
Do it your way.
I already do that.
No, you
Yes,
don't.
I
Don't
do.
don't tell people that, because
I
that's not true.
I do whatever Jill tells you. She says jump. I say how high.
You do
Just
not.
tell me.
Oh, you
Sure, I do.
no. Mm-mm.
Everybody knows it.
Something
No.
I shared today in my fireside broadcast. I said someone taught me 2 things. Uh, when bills come through the door, love flies out the window. They said that years ago, and they also said to me. I heard him say one time, "It takes a lot of loving to make a house a home."
Yep.
So it's not always about. It's never about the house. Actually, it's
Yeah.
never about the
Right.
Yeah.
size. It's
That's
about the
true.
love. It's about the inhabitants. It's about the people. Now would we love a bigger place? Oh, you better believe it, man. You better believe
But
it.
you're in San Francisco.
Yeah, and it's a miracle we've lived here all these years since '95. I
Wow.
mean, if you know, my I'm amazed that we've been able
Yeah.
to live all these years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you,
Because
you make do. You make do with what you. For example, everybody has to make their own decisions about things. So when we were first married, my wife had a job, I had a job, and then we decided to have children. We talked about this, that when we had children, um, actually when she had them, and I just participated for a few moments. But when we had children, we decided that she would stop working if possible financially,
hmm hmm
and till they went back to school. Right, honey? Is that how it worked? I never want to get it wrong. We decided that you wouldn't work until the kids were back in school. Yeah. So basically, when you do that, then you've got to say, all right, we're not going on vacation this year or any other year in the near
Right.
future. We're not going out to eat this, every 3 or 4 times a week. We're going to have one car.
Right.
Nobody gets clothes but the kids, stuff like that.
Exactly.
You make decisions, and everybody needs to make their own decisions. I remember talking to a lady one time, and she was in the grocery store I was working. I was a salesman. I would sell food to grocery stores. And I was talking to this lady, and somehow we got to talking about families and so forth, and how that my wife decided to stay at home after our son was born. And she said, "Oh, I did that too, back in the 50s." And she said, "I did that too, and gave up this and that and this and that to stay home." And I said, "Oh, wasn't it wonderful?" And she said, "No, I hated it and I resented it." And she was mad. She was mad that she gave up her career, her life, for
Right.
everything, for her family and kids. So it better be a mutual thing,
Oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
absolutely. Yes.
and
Absolutely.
a non-judgmental thing, because what works for one couple doesn't work for the next, etc. So I would
Yeah.
say my advice is come to a mutual agreement. That's my advice. Come to a mutual agreement.
Yeah. Well, our mutual agreement is we don't want to live in a 2 bedroom house on the beach.
There you go.
Oh, and that's true. And then there was really only one other time that we weren't going to live in it, but we were talking about getting an RV. And it was really the first time we had talked about what some type of living quarter would look like for the two of us.
Yeah, because we
because I just moved into your house.
Right. So I had this house. So we never like went home shopping and deciding
Right.
what we
never
want in
put
our
together
house.
the home from scratch together.
But we kind of have done that since,
We
even
have.
though we haven't moved anywhere.
Right.
But so we kind of know what
when you
each
went,
one of us
when you went
need.
shopping for the RV, though, you thought, "Oh, I got it," and you just brought me thinking I was just going to sign off on it. And I was like, "But what about this? And I need that. And what about this? And I need that." And we still don't have an RV.
Well, look,
Yeah, I guess the last thing I want to leave you with before I go is get ready for dinner is if you can't come to a mutual agreement, let's say you want one thing and she wants another, there's an excellent way to solve any tie or dilemma. Okay, and that is go to the mother-in-law. Mother-in-law.
Oh
Oh,
no,
yeah.
we
No,
should
we're
not
both
do,
like,
no, we are
no.
not doing that.
Hey, I got the best mother-in-law in the world, man. I got the best mother-in-law in the world. I really do.
Well, that's
She's
nice.
That is
she's
good.
amazing, and in fact, she likes me more than she likes my wife. So that's
Oh, my mother likes
that's
him
what
more.
you think.
My mother likes him more than she likes me.
No, she doesn't.
Yes, she does.
No, she doesn't. Hey, let me do you wrong and see what happens.
Oh, well, yeah, she'd come to my defense, but first she would ask me what I did to make you do that. That's what she would do.
oh yeah.
boy.
My wife's reminding me that when I was dating my wife, we were dating for like 3.5 years or something. 10 years, honey, pick a number. I don't care what the truth is. I don't care what the truth is. She's over there editing me. Anyway, I remember talking to my mother-in-law to be, and I've been going back and forth. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I love her, and she, I don't know. Because I was a head case, I was a basket case, and finally, my mother-in-law one day just basically said, "Fish or cut bait. Just come on, make up your mind, quit
Right.
messing around." She didn't say, you better do this, you better do that. She just said, just stop messing with my daughter. I'm going to clean your clock. Oh, okay. Honey, why don't you speak for yourself? Come on. Don't shake your head no at me, woman. Get in here. Anyway. She said it was, she sent me a signal. What is that hand signal? She said, was that international symbol of peace? Okay. She said that
that may not be what she.
No.
May not have been that finger.
rubbing.
That one is two fingers.
Two fingers.
She had both fingers up. Seriously. My wife does not do that. She is a kind Christian woman. She does not do things like that. All I know is when I talked to her mom, I realized that blood is thicker than water, man. And it's a good thing.
That
it's
is
a
true.
good thing. I came to my senses, and it had been 2 years. My wife corrected me. It had been 2 years at that time. And my mother-in-law and father-in-law both are the best. So all the things about people say about mother-in-laws and my mother, no, I've had nothing but the best in-laws. I mean,
That's
superior in-laws.
Aw, that's nice.
Cool.
And on that note, I dropped the mic. And I've been informed I'm making my own dinner tonight. So goodbye.
Oh,
All right. Well, thanks for coming up, Chris.
Yes, thank you, Chris.
We always love
your comments. And my mother will love all that you said to her.
Oh yeah, she'll feel like a celebrity. For sure.
Yes, she will.
Wow.
And Frankie J is
Hey,
here.
Frankie J, what's up?
And he left a written message saying he too would love an RV. Has to have shower, bathroom, and air conditioning. I agree.
Yeah. Well, that. Well, look. Here's the problem. I'm good at finding deals on stuff. I'm real good at that.
You are.
People might think like we're living large, but I find deals on everything I buy.
You do. You
I
really
find
do.
real good deals. Okay. Um, so I found this really good deal on a travel trailer.
But it wasn't what we needed, sweetheart.
It was a 28-foot travel trailer. It was maybe uh 10 years old, but the people that owned it had like never used it. They used it like once or twice, and then they just parked it and they covered it up. So it was in like really good shape. Really good shape. And I was gonna get it for like a few $1,000s, not, like $2,000, $3,000, right? Ready to go. I even went out and bought a special hitch for it, because the hitch, and I got a good deal on that. The hitch, I spent like, $300 on this hitch that goes for $1,000. So, everything is weight distributing hitch and all of that. So I'm like, hey, I'm ready to get this thing. I'm ready. I was gonna get it. And I said, Jill, let me show you a picture of the travel trailer. And she looked at it and said, oh, yeah, that's okay. She said, well, can we go look at some at a dealership just so I can get an idea of what they really look like, instead of just looking at pictures? I said, yeah, well, yeah, okay. That was my mistake. That was my mistake.
It wasn't a mistake. If you come home with that travel trailer, I still wouldn't like it.
Yeah, but we would have had a travel trailer.
But I wouldn't have
we would have
liked
been
it.
at the
I would
lake.
have complained
We
about
would have
it
been
every
spending
time.
weekends at the lake, and everything would be great.
No, it wouldn't. You would have heard my complaint.
So I take her into one that's like almost identical to the one I was gonna buy. She steps in. She looks around. I don't like it. What do you mean you don't like it? Look, it's got everything we need. It's got the stove. It's got your own bedroom in here. It's got the shower. It's got the kitchen. It's got everything, and it'll sleep. That one would sleep like 6 people. And
But I
I
started
said-
pointing out things
she-
that if we
she
were going
says-
to invite
she
family
says-
members, certain things needed to be in certain places.
she says, the bathroom's right next to the bedroom. I said, that's a great place for it because you get out of the bed and go right into the bathroom. You don't have to walk to the other side of the trail. No. That's not a good place for it. I said, why not? She said, well, because you get up earlier than me. And that bathroom is right next to the bedroom. And RV
And if we had our
trailers,
grandkids with
the
us, they
bathrooms
would've
flush
come-
loud. They're
yeah.
like, whoosh. And so no, I can't have one. Can't have one like that. And she kept finding things.
Yes,
that
I
she
I
would not
caught
like about it.
the eye of the salesperson, and he looked. He was just every time I said something, he was like this, like I had a sale before.
So I made sure it had all of the features, just
Yes,
like the
but I needed them in certain
functionality,
places.
But she wanted it in. So we still don't have a travel trailer. But the next thing we get will be like a RV class.
Well,
A.
Frankie J is a lot like you. He says he never pays full price for anything. And he was once a very good salesperson back in the day, but that's why he quit. Differential.
It's funny. It's funny. I've sold a lot of stuff in my time, and I'm pretty good at selling stuff. However, I don't really like to sell stuff, and
You're a good hype man,
and
though.
and salesmen like drive me nuts because I know everything they're gonna say, so they drive me nuts, and I'm like, man, get away from me, get away from me. But after I say that, I say a good salesman is worth his weight in gold, because if you have a good salesman working for you, man, they're great then. So, yeah, I don't like sales. Salesmen drive me nuts, but
But you respect
good.
the ones that
Yeah,
are
I
good at
respect the ones that are good at it.
it.
Some are really good at it. So, yeah.
Yep. So back on topic, which is we actually
Move.
posed the question of when is it a good time to
Well,
move?
I think we were getting to that because I was saying that at our age, we kind of want to stay put, right? But we still do. We would love to live like by the ocean or like a block away from the ocean or oceanfront, or and if we couldn't get that, lakefront uh, property, and that would probably be the only
Well, I think
reason
you
we
said
would
it earlier.
move.
You said it well when you said if we could move to where we have a view of water and not struggle to pay for that house
Yeah, yeah,
and
we
not
would.
downsize,
Yeah, we would
like get
move.
the size house we want and not have to struggle to pay for it because right now we don't have a mortgage. So
So,
I think we move when we can do that.
yeah, and who knows? Might be next year. Might be in the next 20 years. Who knows? I
I don't
don't
think it'll
know.
be in 20 years. I'll be too old to do it then.
I don't know. And that's the other thing. If we are going to move to the ocean or something, I wouldn't want to do it before we get too old. I really want to, enjoy it.
Oh, this is very interesting. So remember Frankie J said he was a very good salesperson. Want to guess what he sold?
Cars.
Nope. You will never guess, so I will tell you.
Wait. Cows.
Nope.
Wait.
You're never going to guess.
Computers.
You're never going to guess.
Okay.
He sold Rainbow vacuum cleaners for $2,500.
Get the
He
heck out
sold
of here.
12 in 1 month,
Get the heck out
then
of here.
quit. I quit because I knew I could do bigger things.
A vacuum cleaner salesman. I didn't even know they existed anymore. Back in the day, they used to come door
To your
to
door. I
door.
remember that because
Door to
when
door.
we lived with my grandmother, I remember, once I was old enough to do it, I could get to the door first,
Okay.
and I was always like really skeptical of people who sold vacuum cleaners because they were usually bigger than me. So I'm like, what's that thing you got there? I was very skeptical. Wouldn't let them in
Yeah, but to sell high dollar vacuum cleaners
and do it well.
and do it well, yeah, you got to be.
But he
pretty
did
good.
actually sell computers at one point.
See. So, but yeah, you have to be pretty good to sell, high dollar vacuum
Mm-hmm.
cleaners. The other thing, but some of the high end items, like
Like
for
appliances,
for a
high-end
while, yeah, high end
appliances.
appliances. So, in my trucking career, at one time, I was hauling Sub-Zero refrigerators and the Wolf stoves and all of that. And can you believe? And I know a lot of people don't believe this, but people will pay from $12,000 to $18,000 for one refrigerator. This woman ordered a stove, custom built. It cost $150,000 for a stove.
What kind of house does she live
For
in?
us? Oh, a real
A real-
house, yeah. But what it would do, it would just amaze me of the crazy amount of money that some people have. It's definitely not us. And even if I had that type of money,
You wouldn't spend
I
it
would
on that?
not buy a Sub-Zero. Yes, and check this out. Sub-Zeros are not as dependable as if you went and bought a Frigidaire. They break down a lot. But people buy them. People buy them all the time.
When I'm gonna start calling Frankie J the Renaissance man, because when he was talking about the vacuum cleaners, he says he went into homes with preset appointments, and I would just know how to read the vibes. I understand that, like
Mhm.
read the room, right? Till this day, and it's been 20 years. Um, he would bring me back in a minute. I'm not sure what that's I'm not sure what that relates to. He would bring me back in a minute. But anyway, it's selling yourself to start, and he was a chef also. That's why I'm gonna call him Renaissance Man, because he sold
Ah.
computers, he sold Rainbow, vacuum cleaners, he was a chef. Last week we learned he is a writer.
Yeah. And you know the thing with the being a chef and
And
being
owner of a company.
cool. So the thing with you know those things, and I know this is still off topic, and being able to sell. This is why he was able to sell a lot of high end stuff, is because if you are a chef and you sell like a high end appliance, a stove or something like that. So at the place they sold them, I asked them. I said, "So what is the big difference between a Wolf, there's a Wolf brand and there's a Viking brand." And I said, "Well, what is the really big difference?" They said, "Well, are you a chef?" I said, "No, I'm not a chef." I said, "But I do cook." So the woman told me, she said, the deal is that you can regulate the heat exactly the way you want it. Where if you have a less expensive stove or an electric stove, it's finicky to where you can set the
And you're
temperature.
the reason you're explaining all of this now is
Well,
because
that's why it made Frankie J a good salesman, because he could discuss all of the nuances
Oh,
about
okay.
these things. Because somebody that's going to pay that type of money appreciates it for those certain reasons.
I see.
And then there's other people that just don't care. They just want to say, I spent $20,000 on a refrigerator. They just like to say that.
Oh,
They don't care because they have the money. They don't care.
okay.
Yeah.
If
So
I had a lot of money, I wouldn't flaunt it like that. Like I would be the millionaire next door for sure.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
know.
Now, if we bought a house and it already had, Sub-Zero appliances in it, I wouldn't take them out. I would leave them there, but I
That's
wouldn't. I
hilarious.
wouldn't go and buy one. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't. So
Renaissance Man says he liked Vulcan.
yeah, Vulcan. Yeah, they're good appliances, but it's out of my price range.
It is?
Hey, we need a new
If
stove
if
now.
well, that's true. That's true. We do.
And that's why we don't have one yet.
So what would you spend what like to get us back on topic? What would make you like if someone says, "Hey, I have this home with an ocean view."
Oh, what would make me say, okay, I'm willing to get a house note?
Yes.
That's a good question. If somebody came to me and they said, hey, maybe they were a friend, maybe it's somebody we met, and said, hey, I got this house with an ocean view. It's in Florida. Um, and I'd say, and I want to sell it. And I'd say, I can't afford it. How do you know you can't afford it? Oh, I know I can't afford it. I can't afford it. The oceanfront property, I can't afford it. I don't want a house note. I said, "What? Just out of curiosity, how much is the house worth?" And if they told me $1.2 million, I said, "Yeah, see, I told you I can't afford it, right?" They said, "But I will let you have it for $450,000."
Oh, so That is so true about you. If you think you're getting a great deal, you will buy something. I will never forget the time that we were Christmas shopping and I had my eye on these Coach boots,
I love
but I
those
wasn't going
boots.
to get them because I had no idea where I was going to wear these fancy boots. But because it was 50% off, you're like, get them. And I'm like, but it's still like $400
I
or
was
something
trying
crazy
to
like
get them
that.
for you for Christmas, and I was pulling the salesperson aside, and I was like, "Hey, put these aside for me. Put these aside for me. I'm gonna come back and get them." And you were like, yeah, let's go.
Because I do not like shoe shopping. I hate shoe shopping.
But there's very few shoes that fit your feet.
That's why I
and
hate
they
shoe
were
shopping.
they were
So you, but I
and
learned that
they
day
were
that as long as
Coach
you get a
boots,
deal,
and they were
you will take
they
it.
probably were more than 50% off. They were probably more. They were still expensive,
They sure were.
but
But once I put them on, I was walking like like I was on a runway.
so
I
yeah.
still do.
So yeah, if somebody was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna give you this $1 million home for 450,000 or 500,000," yeah, okay, I'll take a note. We'll sell this house. We'll take all the money, put it down on this house, so the house note won't be as high. It'll only be a few thousand, $1,800, $2,000 a month. Yeah, I'm willing to do that because I have instant equity. I
Okay.
have instant equity.
Okay.
So that's the difference. That means even if we got in financial trouble, right? We could sell that house and make $500,000.
Sounds like you've thought this through.
You asked me the question.
But it
so-
sounds like you really thought about it. So, Renaissance Man, you're on the stage. Do you have a oceanfront house you can sell us that's 50% off?
Um,
And while you're at
yeah,
it, do you have a Brooklyn Bridge you can sell us?
yeah, I wish. It's funny because when I tell people, not to go off topic, but I tell people all the jobs that I've held, they're like, "What?" I've had so many different jobs in so many different trades, whatever sales. I've always had the gift of gab. I went to college, got 2 degrees, one in psychology, sociology, another in criminal justice, and so my brain is just filled with all this info. But to get back to the topic at hand, when is it, when is it a good time to decide to move? And I can answer that question for me personally. I've been in the same town for 43 years, out of 45 now. And
Oh,
it's
that's right.
time
Happy
for
belated birthday.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well,
yeah.
thank you. I
Happy
appreciate
birthday.
that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep, old 45 now. And for me, being out of work now, permanently disabled, I held jobs with the school district, the town, and I was a firefighter and all this other stuff. And now it's like I don't have any of that, and I've wanted to leave the area for quite some time. So for me, the time to move, and the time I've decided to move, and I've been looking very diligently for the last year or so, it's for a new start. Most people move because of financial situations or, jobs or whatever the case. But for me, I want to move to start a new chapter, a new, no pun intended because I wrote a book, but to start a new chapter, to start a new life with my new, sets of challenges, and to be in a comfortable spot, quiet, maybe a mile from each neighbor, out in the country, something like that, with a little mini barn with a little mini horse and maybe a donkey.
Mini
'cause
barn,
it's-
mini horse.
yeah, mini horse, a donkey, some ducks. Ducks are great pets, by the way. I've
And
had a duck
become a
before.
tweezer tycoon. Do you
Something
know
like
that
that.
reference?
Yes, I do.
I know.
And I
It's
love
Frank Zappa.
animals.
It's a Frank
Oh,
Zappa
okay.
song. He says he
Yeah,
wants
I
to
caught
move
on
out to
right away.
Wyoming and on a little mini horse and be a tweezer tycoon.
Okay.
They're so cool, those little mini horses. But
They are. Annie has
yeah.
a mini horse.
yeah. Oh,
And he
really?
has him out. Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay,
I have a
okay.
friend that she has 6 horses, and one of them is a mini horse.
Oh, those are cute. They come in the house with their metal shoes. They're like clink, 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 clink. But I had a pet duck that got up to 25 pounds, and
Wow.
when she'd go waddling through the house, it was like slap, 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 because like the feet are webbed, so they suction to the floor, kinda, and it sounds like a slap. So it was like slap, 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 and man, when she'd get excited, when I'd pull in the driveway, you could hear her going, going
Aw.
bananas. And I named her Duck Nora, like Chuck Norris, Duck Nora. And she followed
Aw.
me everywhere. I couldn't keep her in the house after a while because they can't control their bowels. They're waterfowl, so I
Yeah.
built her a dog house outside, nice heated, hay. And wouldn't you know, every night she'd sit at the sliding glass door and just pound her beak until I would let her in. So
Aw.
I eventually put her on my cousin's farm out in the country, and
Ah, cool.
she is allowed in the house. She has free roam of the property, and she's wonderful. She remembers me too. If I go there, she comes flapping over to me because they can't fly, the certain breed I had, and she comes running and flapping and running and flapping and nuzzling into me, and they're really, really cool pets if you ever want an outdoor
That's so
pet.
cute.
Cool.
But
That's
for
really
me,
cute.
it is. I'm an animal guy. I have a family of bunnies right outside my window. I have a pet deer that comes within feet of me every morning. And, I'm just that animal guy. But for me, the time to decide to move is when your gut tells you. And I'm, technically, we've already discussed this. I'm technically, spiritually a single man, regardless of a paper document of being married. So
And
I
from
don't.
your wife.
Yeah. I want a place that I can't be found on GPS, and there's
I
no
understand that.
signal,
Yeah.
and just
I
to
think
live.
that's beautiful. That's a beautiful
Yeah.
vision for you.
Well, I tried to get Jill to move out to the
You
country.
sure did. You still try every now and then.
And
Oh, the
she
country's
won't do it.
beautiful. Why
She
not,
won't
Jill?
do it. Yeah,
Why? Because
I wanted to
I-
get some
it's not-
horses and live out in the country and ride my horse. And
I don't mind country spaces. I just need to have some modern amenities too.
Oh, well, you can drive a few miles down the road, and there's
See, I don't
she
usually
like
doesn't
that.
want to
I don't
drive
wanna
a
do
few
that.
miles.
or you could
she
just
wa-
do Uber. Have Uber drop you through there.
That's true. I can have a driver. I like
Yeah.
the way you
Yeah.
think.
There's
Yeah,
always a way to do it. I think it's just. I think downright. You're one of those. I can handle it for the weekend, but then I got to go home.
That's right. That
and
is me.
there's nothing wrong with that. For me, a weekend away turns into the whole weekend of me thinking, how the hell can I get out here and live here permanently? And then I end up going home. So for me, to determine when it's time to move, it all comes down to your gut and your intuition and what your body and soul and heart are telling you. I mean, that's all I can, provide as far as my input on the topic, but it is a really
I
good
love
topic.
that answer. That's a beautiful answer.
Well, here's a question. So where are you willing? Are you willing to move to another state
Oh, yeah.
to find this utopia?
I actually 2 years ago I was set to move out to Montana, out to Missoula. I had a place lined up, and I was going to have a roommate. And then at the last minute, about 20 days before I was about to pull out, and mind you, I sold half of my property because I was moving into a small cabin, so I
Mhm.
wouldn't have had room for all my belongings. So I had a liquidation sale. I sold most of my belongings that I wasn't going to use, didn't use, haven't used, whatever. And about 20 days before I was about to pull out, he threw up a red flag saying that I wouldn't be able to use electricity to do podcasting. And I'm like, well, I don't understand. If I'm paying half the electric, why would that matter? He's like, well, I'm conservative, and I really, want to save, on electric and, the planet and all this other stuff. And I'm like, well, you knew I was a podcaster, and you said that was okay. And he
Yeah.
was like, well, I didn't know that you were really going to come out to Montana and want to do podcasting when there's mountains and rivers and streams? And I'm like, well, yeah, I would podcast about the rivers, streams, and the bears, you know? And it just, the red flag went up. My gut told me, don't do this. And at the
Yeah.
time, I mean, it was a 3,000-mile trip, you know,
Yeah.
across 2 different time zones. And I'm like, why would I leave somewhere where I'm content? I know where I'm at, who I'm
Yeah,
around, to
exactly.
go out into the middle of nowhere and be miserable. So I pulled back and decided not to. So I'm still looking. You know, I like to.
Well,
I want to go
I
out
want to
west.
give you. I want because we're going to close out the show in,
Oh
in
yeah. I
just
won't
a
waste
minute
any
or
more
so.
of your
But
time.
I want to give you some tips. Down here, not only in Georgia, but in many states throughout the country. But I definitely know this to be true in Georgia. You can find counties in Georgia, in South Georgia, and Middle Georgia, that will give you a house just as long as you live in it.
Really?
For a
And
minimum of 2 years.
a
I
minimum
think.
of 2 years, but some of them they'll give you a house if you start a business and employ, 1 or 2 people from town.
And
Um,
they also have spaces like that for creative people. So
yeah,
if you come there and
Oh,
create things,
and
they'll
out in
give you a
out
house.
that I
in
can do.
Wyoming that you were talking about before, they will
Oh, Montana.
actually in Montana, both Wyoming and Montana, they will give you land. And I mean a good bit of land, like 10, 20 acres, as
Jeez.
long as you build a house or build a structure that you can live in
Okay.
there and live there. They'll give it to you. You have to build the house within 2 years.
Okay.
Just get online and start checking out free states or counties that give away free land or
Huh.
homes.
That's funny you bring that up because I was looking into there's places that actually will let you move in rent free as long as you commit to a certain amount of hours of work, like being a handyman or a maintenance
Exactly.
person,
Yeah.
like a trade off sort of
Yeah.
thing. So this is just kind of like that, but a little bit more detailed. So I'm gonna definitely look into that
Yeah.
because
Seriously,
I'm
there's
not rich. I'm not rich.
yeah, but it's the counties, and the towns that have turned into kind of ghost towns. So the industry that was there died out, and
So they're
everybody
looking to replenish it in any way they can.
yes,
That sounds good. I wouldn't
exactly.
mind doing that if I,
Yep.
had a place to live. I'm real simple. I'd be okay living in one of those, tiny homes, 250 square feet. I'd be good with that as long as I can have a TV, a microphone, and a
Yeah.
toilet and a shower.
But I'll
So,
tell you, yeah, you can do that. I mean, there's a lot of places, especially if you're willing to live out in the country, and
oh yeah.
you got your disability coming in. You know how much money you're going to have, but a lot of places
I'm gonna
Including
look into
Italy.
that.
Italy has
Thanks
places
for
like
the
that
tip.
that you can move and it'll cost you nearly nothing.
I'm
Nothing.
gonna have
Our
to
problem
message you on
is
the
that Jill
chat
doesn't
side.
want to live in the country.
I don't
Well,
mind the
Jill.
country. I just need some amenities.
Well,
But
Jill, I'm sure that could
Kay
be
came
worked
up with
out.
the idea of a driver. So if you be my driver, we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
also
funny.
search I don't know how much money you're willing to spend, but search farmland. Not real
Okay.
estate, not real farmland real estate. Because
Okay.
sometimes the farmland, they just advertise it as farmland. But however, quite often there's a house on that farmland.
Sure.
So they don't advertise it as a house for sale. They just advertise it as a farmland for sale, but there's a house
Ah,
there.
so you
See?
can invest in farmland, and with that farmland happens to come a house.
Exactly.
That's really cool. I
Exactly.
never thought of that. Thanks for the
Yeah.
info. I'm gonna definitely
You're
Google
welcome.
search all night long. Oh, like Lionel
Yeah,
Richie,
I mean,
all
you're
night
gonna be
long.
like, oh, it's gonna blow your mind because
I can't wait.
yeah, It's gonna blow your mind how
Well,
much
if,
stuff
if
is
you
out
move
there.
ahead with that, let us know. We'd love to
Well,
hear
I'll keep you
that
posted.
update.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited, and it's always a pleasure talking to you too. You're so funny, and both of you. I got one last question, and this has
Okay.
nothing to do with. Now, you guys are sitting with two microphones. Do you have the Rodecaster interface or
Yes.
machine? Okay,
Yes.
so you don't have headphones on. How are you hearing me? Is it just? Oh, you got them in. Okay, earbuds.
Yeah,
Okay, so you're both.
I switched out to the earbuds more like they use in on
On
TV,
TV, like an
Like in talk
IFB.
show.
like a IFB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And you guys are on the same camera. That's the trick.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
same camera. We use Jill's phone to do the producing and brings people up and down on the stage.
Gotcha. Because I've been trying to figure it out on how to. Cause I have a studio in my living room, and my partner and I, my co-host and I, he's in the same room, but we're on two separate mics, two separate iOS devices, and I'm trying to figure out how to link them both into my Rodecaster Pro, and I can't figure it out. So
Yeah,
I
no,
guess
it's easy. Yeah, but you it's
it's like
real easy
tinfoil.
actually.
Well, we'll
So
talk
you
about
have
that
to.
another time if you
I'm gonna
want.
tell you this real quick.
Okay.
You have to get you know how our little lightning plugs.
Yeah, I have one of those.
You make sure you get a certified one.
Is that the trick?
Yes, you have to get a certified one, and then you have to make sure you use a
RRS.
TRRS,
Got that.
and you just
Certified.
plug it right. Yeah, just plug it right back in the back of your Rodecaster, and it doesn't have to be a Rodecaster.
Yeah.
You
Well,
can
can you
use a less
split?
expensive,
Can you use a
huh?
splitter? Like if I'm hooked into the back of the Rodecaster where the smartphone gets plugged in with the TRRS cable and the lightning, are you able to split that?
I've never tried to, but
That might be my problem.
I bet you it doesn't work well.
That's definitely my problem. Then I'm trying to
Now,
split the signal.
if you're trying to use two cameras into one, you can do that. Hardwire one and use the other device as Bluetooth.
Oh, okay.
So you can put them both in there at the same time. So one is going to be on that Bluetooth slider, and the other one is going to be on the iPhone slider,
Gotcha. I never
and that'll
tried that.
work.
Well,
Yeah.
thanks for all the information. I'm like ready to get up and start playing with my equipment.
That was
That's
a
really
really
cool.
good question. I don't know if Tony's ever told you, but when you were doing the tutorials for creators on Fireside, you did a
Yeah.
really good job. So
Yeah.
that
So
was a really
Thank you.
good question.
yeah, you did a real good job of mounting your device in front of the monitor or your television screen, and it looked good. It looked good. Nobody would know. I knew
Yeah.
because I'm kind of technical like that. I knew how you did it, but nobody would know. You couldn't tell. The only way I could tell is because I saw a little reflection
Oh
off the
yeah.
screen, and that was it.
You
But other
caught me.
than that, yeah, other than that, it was good. Nobody would know. Everybody was like, "Well, how the hell he do that?" Because we don't
Yeah.
have that capability with Fireside.
Well, you know what I
And I
did is
even told Really Charlie about it. He's here in the audience. Hi, Really Charlie.
And really, Charlie, I did see your message. We will look at our email when the show is over.
Will do.
I applied for a second account with Fireside because I have a second phone number. So I actually have two Fireside accounts, and I use the
Yeah,
second one as an additional camera.
yeah. That's exactly what I
That's
told
what he told
Jill.
me. That's
I
how
said,
you did
yeah,
it. Yep.
He
Yep,
got two
that's
devices
exactly
with
what I did.
different phone numbers. Yeah.
Yep. So I try to figure out little tricks to make things work, but now I'm trying to get more technologically advanced, as people would say. But again, I don't want to hijack your show. You guys, I could talk to you two all night long, and you're wonderful people.
All
And
right.
thanks for having me up as always. I do appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Your
You're
comments.
welcome. Thanks for coming up. But yeah, not that I'm trying to sell the Rodecaster Pro, but it'll do way more than you think it'll do. They made it simple. That's why it'll
Yeah,
give you.
if I could handle it that one time I had to do it, then anybody can.
That's why they don't give you any instructions with it. They'll give you real instructions. They throw you a couple of pictures, and that's it. But it'll do so much stuff because we can take this out in the field. We can hook up our house speakers to it so the audience can hear us and all of that. We can hook up 4 mics to it. There's a lot of stuff we can do with it.
Time to
2
go.
devices, 3 devices. Who knows?
Time to go.
Computer up to it.
Time to go.
Everything. Well, as you heard Jill say, time to go. Time to go. You know, I start talking about that
I
stuff.
know. That's why I'm like, it's time to go.
I won't stop. So, anyway.
We appreciate all of you all for being here.
Yes.
So thank you, Frankie J, aka Renaissance Man. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, Chris and your wife. Thank you, Donnie. And thank you, Dave and Sam. We appreciate it.
Thank you. So we're gonna
Was
be
this
out.
all men tonight?
We thought we were gonna do a 30-minute show tonight.
I don't think Tony can anymore.
I can do a 30-minute show. I've done 30-minute shows.
This show used to be 30 minutes before we came to Fireside.
Yeah, when we were just podcasters, this was 30 minutes.
One
I
day.
mean, on the clock.
Yes.
Every show was
One day I'll get you
29
back to
minutes,
that.
30 minutes, you know. So
One day.
one day, yeah, maybe, you know, things change.
Tell everybody you love them and goodbye.
As usual, we love you all. We really mean it. It's like you all are our family.
You
Family
are.
members coming to visit. So thank you. We love you. Till next time, we'll
Bye.
see you. We're going to get rid of some
Bye.
video.
Love you.
And if the phone works correctly, oh yeah, video's gone. So then we're going to really close the show out if it lets us. But I don't think it's... Oh, wait. It's going to let us. It's going to let us. And it is time to go. Love you